Hello and welcome to The Last Tackle. It's been a huge week for Rugby League. We're going to be discussing the Betfred World Club Challenge. I'm delighted to welcome to the studio. He was commentating on the game on Saturday night on Sky. It's Kyle Amor and the Chief Exec of the Wigan Warriors. It's Kris Radlinski. Gents, thanks for coming in. Kris, how you doing?
I'm good. It's been a great week, great few days.
I thought you might have 5 stars on.
I'm getting all my wardrobe upgraded now. No, look, it was a really special night for the club, a really important night for the game as well. To get the viewing figures that it did on multiple channels, a sellout stadium, and the game really delivered right up to the very last second. It was touch and go. So it was an exciting occasion and worthy of a World Club final.
I heard you on BBC Breakfast, and you were talking about winning grand finals. Yeah, people remember you. But becoming world champions is just a different level.
Yeah, these games only come around every so often in your career. Matt did a really good job in the week of the game, talking about legacy, and these kind of games don't just get you in the newspapers the day after. These get you spoke about for decades and decades to come. And he played the psychological card very, very well throughout the week, referencing the 4 stars previously and challenging the team to get the 5th star. And a couple of days before in the wrestle pit, actually in our gym, it was all dark and we did a shirt presentation with 4 players who had played in previous World Cup wins, and it was a very powerful and emotional moment. And the team were physically ready to play, but psychologically they were spot on. So head coach did a fantastic job.
So you had 4 stars about the place and just an outline of a 5th, is that correct?
Outline of a 5th, and it was just little reminders all around the facility, on the floor in the changing rooms when they walked in every day, just to remind them that you got an opportunity for the 5th one. And then Sunday morning we went round and put the 5th gold one in. So, no, like I said, it was a wonderful occasion and something we're very, very proud of.
Carl, you've obviously won the grand final with St Helens. We know what a physical game it is. Are we getting an insight into what we're doing mentally now in Wigan?
Yeah, well, look, I think...
Is that why we're top of the tree?
Yeah, no, it certainly is. In order to be champions, yes, you've got to have the physicality, the skill, but you've also got to have the mental capacity to do that and deliver in big games. And Wigan earned the right to be in this game against Penrith, being the champions of Super League. But just touching up on what Rad said and what you said, I just thought the whole occasion, what Wigan as a club did before the game, the biggest compliment I could say is it actually felt like a grand final. There was nearly 25,000 in there, but it felt like there was 70 odd thousand in. So, all the details that they did in and around it, the fan experience was obviously mega. Speaking to people who attended the game before the game, they were either excited or delighted that they were there. Having Heather Small on beforehand.
She's brilliant voice.
Brilliant. And just some of the little touches that they had, the goalpost went down really, really well amongst fans with the game, and other players from other clubs have commented on it. So it was, I think for players and fans, when you see the sport played like that, and in the arena that it was like, the setting it was like, it just makes you want to be a part of it in whatever capacity. And I think that's the biggest compliment that I can pay sort of Rads and the club. They delivered all over the night, and the game itself was an absolute humdinger, wasn't it? It was right down to the last second. And credit Wigan, they defended so well in true Wigan way, and they got the job done. And thankfully that trophy stays on these shores.
Because when we're talking about the Penrith Panthers, we're talking a hell of a team. Everyone says the NRL's the best.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a team that's won the NRL in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And now they've been beaten by Saints.
Yeah.
And
that was the point I was going to make. Jerome Luai does an interview before the game and sort of downplays what sort of Saints did they maybe didn't prepare quite as right, but they didn't have that excuse this time. They knew that they had to come over here and to complete their sort of dynasty. Yes, the 3-time NRL Premiership winning team. But to do that, they probably had to go on and win a World Club title as well. And so the job was pretty hefty for Wigan to do. And like Rad said there, Matt Peet prepared them in a way where, that group of 17 players only thought there was going to be one outcome, and it was Wigan. So, massive credit goes to to Matty Peet, what he's been able to do and to win all them trophies inside of 2 years of coaching. I think it's 60 odd games and he's collected the lot. It just shows you what a quality coach he is as well, and he's got the full backing of everyone at Wigan and the players as well, crucially.
Let's talk about Matty Peet then. So, Challenge Cup, League Leaders, Grand Final, now World Club Challenge. Now, let's be honest, a few people when you appointed him would question the appointment. Well,
yeah, more than a few. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
You've made a good appointment there, haven't you? Look, we all knew he was Wigan through and through.
Yeah. I mean, no lie. I reckon I must have got 50 letters of complaint when we put him in charge. Yeah, saying that he was not ready for the job. You know, it's one of the biggest seats in rugby league, and you know, many comments saying I was ruining the club. But I've said it on many occasions. You know, Matt's been on a 10-year job interview with me. I've literally spoke to him for the last decade on many different things. And he's an impressive individual. You know, he's curious, he's enlightened, he asks questions. I maintain that probably most head coaches in rugby league are coaching the same way. There are a couple who think outside the box and think little things around the game, which how to get the best out of the players to realise the potential. They're the great coaches. And Matt's in that category. You know, he really, his manner, his communication skills, I think he's won our fans over. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. But I think you guys in the media, you like his honesty, his openness. You know, and he talks and communicates with his players so impressively. So, you know, I wasn't expecting him to win 4 in 2 years, but it's an impressive start for him. Well, yeah. Interestingly, I didn't get many letters thanking me or congratulating me, but you know, that's rugby league.
But just to jump in on that, I love what he said in his interview after the game. They asked him what was the best part about the game, and he mentioned about that try that Bevan French just got chalked off, and the fact that he wanted his team to back themselves, and in that high pressure situation, he was comfortable with that, and he said that was the best part. The worst part was obviously try not being given. But I just thought that's a smart message, and that's a coach that really believes in his group. You know, to back them in that situation, given the pressure of the scoreboard, to try that. And I just thought, you know, out of all the things he could have said, he brought it back to the players and trusted them. I thought it was brilliant.
As he brought the old Wigan back, because I know you're doing loads in the community again now, aren't you? And at the beginning of the season, you opened it all up to the media. As he brought the old Wigan back?
Yeah, I think sport for many years has kind of shot itself in the foot to a degree. Many clubs have got these training centres and training venues, and they've built walls around, and you know, they've created this mystique of what's happening inside. What we've done certainly with our facility and Rugby Park is knock the walls down, invite everybody in, who are ultimately our customers, and you know, anybody can come to our training centre on a daily basis, whether you're a fan, whether you're another coach, it doesn't matter. He's welcomed everybody in, and it's certainly worked for us. I do feel we're really connected with the people in the town of Wigan, and he constantly.
Because you're a massive part of Wigan, aren't you? Rightly so, you know.
Oh yeah, and he constantly reminds his players that they've got a responsibility to the people of Wigan. That's who we represent, and it's very much part of his narrative on a weekly basis.
I think it's good to hear, isn't it? But they are doing so much in the community as well.
It is, and it reminded me a little bit of a time once, you know, Kieran Cunningham sort of got sacked from St Helens. Justin Holbrook came in, and one of the things he spoke about was reconnecting the town back with the community. If you have them two married together, it creates a feel-good factor. It brings people through the gates. It brings support, and the right support your way. It's up to you as a club to then perform on the field. So the two do go together. You can't have one without the other, really. And I applaud everything that's been happening at Wigan. You know, they're certainly making all the right noises once again.
Well, let's hear from the Wigan coach. There's no letters of complaint now. Let's hear from Matt Peet.
Yeah, very proud, very fortunate to work with this group of players. I love them to bits. The staff, everyone at the organisation deserves tonight. I thought the club performed on the field, but off the field as well. The event that was put on. Everything that's going on around this club at the moment is positive, and we need to build now. I think Penrith Panthers' commitment to this competition the last 2 years has been outstanding, and you know, we've done our bit as well along with St Helens, so it should only build. You know, people talk about the respect in the NRL, Super League, but we shouldn't take too much notice of that. We know the NRL is an outstanding competition, but the Super League and Rugby League in the north of England and London has a lot to be proud of. So let's not concern ourselves too much with that and just take pride in the athletes we have on shore and the people that we can inspire.
Talk about your academy, Kris. 7 academy players in that side on Saturday. Plenty more in the extended squad as well. That's, for me, the all Wigan as well.
Yeah, it's very much part of our long-term planning, of our business plan. We invest heavily in structures throughout our men's and women's programme to ultimately create more rugby league players. We've a long history and we've great examples of players coming all the way through our system and winning trophies, and that's providing role models and pathways that is genuine and that people want to be a part of. So we'll never change that. Again, I do believe that our training facility has allowed the club to be connected. It's allowed us to be connected from, you know, the scholars right at the bottom all the way to the men's first team. We've got 12 teams operating out of there now, and it's a very strong club, very strong cultural club, and we all look after each other, and we're all proud to represent.
Because, Kyle, you're at Wembley on Sunday.
Yes,
obviously, academy players came on for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Fans associate more with academy players.
Yeah, of course they do, because, you know, more often than not, they are from that area as well, aren't they? There's nothing better than seeing homegrown talent, because, you know, you probably tend to find that it means perhaps a little bit more to them, you know, the opportunity to play in their hometown, you know, through their upbringing of the parents who idolise the club, etc. You tend to probably get a little bit more from those players, and probably there for the right reasons as well. And to touch on Radzy's point about the importance of an academy, you've only got to look at the previous winners of Super League, and, you know, I'll use 3 of the 4 in terms of Leeds, St Helens and Wigan. You know, predominantly those guys have got the best academies within the game. You know, if players don't make it at those clubs, they're the ones who then filter onto the other clubs. But I think most players have spent a bit of time at Saints, Wigan or Leeds Academy, you know, throughout Super League, and the very best ones obviously get to play in the very best teams, don't they? I thought at the weekend, you look at Liam Farrell, who's probably the poster boy of that academy success at Wigan now. Liam Marshall as well, I thought he had a terrific game, probably didn't get the plaudits he deserved. He must have took about 25 carries in that game, and those are, you use them examples to parents, to up and coming kids. This is what the behaviours, the attributes on the field look like, and this is what the success comes with it.
Because to use another analogy with Liverpool, I was listening to Pep Linders after their Carling Cup win, Carabao Cup now, isn't it, win, and he was saying that he's not afraid in training to step up 16-year-olds into the first team for a couple of weeks and then bring them back. Bring 13-year-olds up to the under-16s for a couple of weeks and bring them back. I guess that's probably the kind of thing you do at training at Wigan, isn't it?
100%. You know, Matt likes to have, you know, 2 teams on the training field playing against each other, and half of them are young lads, 17, 18-year-olds, you know, trying the luck against the starting 13. So when you give them that exposure and that confidence to get in and do it, it's only going to bring them on quicker. If I can just jump on something you said there, Carl, about Liam Marshall, I actually thought he was incredible in the game. Yeah. But he just had a ridiculously emotional couple of weeks. Yeah. He gives birth to his daughter. On the Monday of the game, we all go to the funeral of his mother. And he was an absolute hero on the night. And I think the way he went about his business, I think he worked his way into the hearts of certainly every single Wigan player. The courage he showed was incredible, and we love him to pieces.
No, fair play to him, and he was fantastic on Saturday night. So many big performances as well. Right, I'm going to embarrass you. Big performance from you as well, Rads, because I know you like to get involved in everything. You ask questions about the TV coverage. You ask questions, obviously, about ticket sales, etc. You get involved in the build-up, and it was fantastic ahead of this well. Did you enjoy Saturday night, or did you enjoy it? Or was it only afterwards you enjoyed it?
Do you know what I did? I made we'd been 3 or 4 months in the planning of that, and I did. You know, we had events every single night last week, and
it was a good build-up to a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did, it was.
We were lucky enough to go to the House of Commons, weren't we?
Yeah, we were down here and we were speaking about the game with the Penrith guys who who again were magnificent as a club to work with. I know you said they're a great team, but they're a benchmark club as well.
Nathan Cleary was on the pitch for about an hour after the game, still signing autographs.
Yeah, and we did an event early in the week, and Ivan Cleary and Matt did similar. You know, spent a couple of hours with 650 kids from Wigan. But I made a conscious effort to promise to myself that, you know, you need to be present in these occasions, that, you know, you work hard and you have to allow yourself that moment to kind of step back and realise, you know, this is why you do it. So I got a moment at the end where, you know, my son and my daughter were on the field with me, and to watch the lads celebrating in front of the fans, it was good. It's important to do that.
Yeah. You know, because you won the Lance Todd, you won the Harry Sunderland as well, didn't you? So, you know, you've won things in your career. How has it being chief exec compared to playing?
Well, listen, it's a thankless job, to be honest. You know that. It's you know.
Well, everyone's an expert out there.
Oh yeah. You know, people say what's changed with your chief exec, and basically people complain more and people want more off you. But it's a great privilege. It's a great privilege and it's pressure. But you know, I loved my career. You know, I loved the game and everything it did for me. But I'm actually more prouder of what I've achieved post career, really, because you had to reinvent yourself. You've had to kind of
learn on the job in some respects.
Absolutely, yeah. And you've had to rebound, and you've had to develop and take yourself out of your comfort zone in order to grow and you know, to develop another career. So it's brilliant. I love it. It's thankless, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Raj, can I just ask a question? You know, what was the feedback then from the Panthers club in terms of after the game? Where do they see this sort of fixture? Has it got more importance now to them? Where were they at with it?
Well, a couple of things on that. It is one, that the game had real commercial value to it. You know, a sellout crowd, you know, sponsorship, exposure, retail, food and drink in Wigan, everything. It was, you know, real economic impact on the town. And I think, well, I know I spoke to the Matthew Cameron, who was the chief executive after the game, and he said he was going straight back to the NRL to speak to Andrew Abdor and say, look, we need to grow this event. Yeah. You know, in seasons gone by, teams have referred to the game as a trial match. No. Penrith stayed as far away from that as possible.
It did not have any feel like that on Sunday night.
They didn't.
And you could tell how you lot celebrated and what they looked like at the end of the game.
Yeah, it was. You know, they give everything, and that's great respect for the game. So we have to build on it. We have to take it to the next level again next year. So I hope conversations start straight away. Yeah. I mean, people say, how did the game come about? You know, there's no blueprint. At the end of the 2 weeks after the grand final, it's me picking up the phone to that guy and saying, listen, do you fancy this? Do you want it? And
well, I'm glad you did, because it was a brilliant game.
That shouldn't be the way, though, should it? No. It should be more.
Surely the Panthers players come away from that thinking, God, I wouldn't mind a bit of that every year as well. You know, the NRL crowds have been known to be, I dare say not all of them would have got to play in such a cauldron like that, and the vocal sort of noises from the fans and everything. It must be one where they go, I wouldn't mind a bit of that again.
Well, we're going to see a big start to the NRL this weekend, aren't we?
Yes, Vegas, of course.
Yeah, no, it was a brilliant occasion, Kris. Fantastic. Right, let's just talk about the other games in the Betfred Super League we had last week. Salford got off the mark. Yes. Against Castleford, 26-22.
Yeah, and even though it was only round two, Mark, it felt that this was a massive game, didn't it? You know, between these two sides, many people, obviously, with the losses that Salford have had, particularly to their strike and where their points come from over the last couple of years, now gone. You know, there's a couple of question marks as to where they would finish. So, you know, a 4-point ball game kind of tells you that, you know, although it's only round two, but a lot of people have got these two sides sort of battling out to finish above London, and you know, Salford at home get a win that they can sort of breathe a sigh of relief and look ahead to this week.
And another win for your old club, St Helens. I was talking to Paul Wellings pre-season as well. He's hurting because of what's going on down the road. Yeah, but it's a good hurting, isn't it? You know, and I'm sure if it was the other way around last year, I'm sure Rads and the club and the team, they would have been hurting too. And you know, but I think St Helens, yes, they played London, but this at Huddersfield, to go to Huddersfield, it's a tricky venue. Teams will come unstuck there. But to win 28-0, I watched the game back two nights ago, and I just thought what Saints did in the first half, the short kicking game from a number of different, you know,
pivots really in terms of Wellesby, Dodd, Lomax and even Darryl Clark as well. So it made it a real difficult night for Huddersfield, and in the end a 28-0 scoreline shows that they're scoring points at will at the moment.
And Catalan Dragons nil London Broncos. Do you think the Catalan Dragons one of the teams to push you again all the way this year?
Yeah, I think when you see the players that had left this year, I was probably thinking that they wouldn't be up there. But then I looked at the squad at the beginning of the year. They've got some strike about them. They've got some size about them, and there's no doubt they'll be in the top 3 at the end of the year. Sam Tompkins obviously retired now, but he will still have a massive say as to how they play and what they do this year. So yeah, they're going to be there or thereabouts.
Sam Burgess, first home game and the first win of the season.
Yeah, look, I didn't actually get to watch this game, but I've sort of seen enough and spoke to enough people.
Well, we're all live on Sky now.
Well, I know. There's only so much rugby you can watch, isn't there? And 3 games this week was probably my limit. But yeah, look, 6-6 before that card, and a weakened young Hull FC side. What youth gives you energy and whatnot, and so. Yeah, look, Sam Burgess, obviously, they can only do what they can do, and they go on and win the game comfortably. But, yeah, I think the jury's still out, isn't it, on where they'll finish and how their season will pan out. And it's one of them with Warrington just to watch this space and see how it all
Finally,
goes.
I've been impressed with Hull KR.
Yeah, Hull KR, I think they are. I've got to sort of do their first 2 games, and I think that once the track dries up and once they just sharpen their attack up, there's a team in there for sure. I think what Willie Peters has done is, in typical Aussie fashion, he's kind of sort of maybe changed the mindset from that off-the-cuff style rugby that Tony Smith brought to them, and he's kind of given them a little bit more structure, I think, and they've got some quality players in there. Again, I just think that they just need to sort of crispen that attack up for me.
Right, let's talk discipline. There's been a lot of chat this season, of course, about the discipline. New Browns sending off Hull, probably put it back in the spotlight again last week. So there's been a few meetings. Lewis caught up with Robert Hicks from the RFL.
Thank you for joining us. We'll start off with what this is all about, of course, the new rules that have come into place, some of the new judgments for this season, a lot of debate from last weekend. I just wonder if you could give us a bit of an internal view on some of the issues that were raised.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lewis. I suppose the starting point was we expected some challenge throughout the opening few rounds of Super League as players, referees, coaches and fans got used to the new head contact framework. But we always knew it would be difficult, and there's been some bumps in the road. And as we said at the outset, wherever we thought we needed to reflect and make some alterations and clarity for people, then we would do that. And ultimately, as we found out on Friday night with New, there were some wrinkles in our framework, and we'll talk to people this week and get that to the right place. Well, the New Brown one was a contact head-on-head between ball carrier and tackler, but it wasn't caused on initial contact. The framework was designed to deal with those initial contacts when the tackler first makes contact with the ball carrier and that motion at that point. If you watch the New Brown tackle, he actually makes contact, keeps clear of the head, and then gets swung round. What we realised under the framework was that referees had nowhere to go to interpret what would be the mechanics of a rugby league tackle and the significant moving parts that can happen when more than one ball carrier's in there. More than one tackler's in there.
Do you understand the frustration of supporters, but also players, based on the last couple of weeks?
Absolutely, yeah. As I said at the outset, change was never going to be easy, and some of these changes are significant. That has resulted in actual great buy-in from a lot of people, players, coaches, fans, even stakeholders that people don't really know about. But what it was always going to be a difficult thing when we actually saw the framework in action for the first couple of rounds. Just come back to what I said to you, though, nearly 7,500 tackle events and 7,500 tackle events and only 12 charges. So actually, it's a small percentage of the tackle events that are causing us the issue.
How do you find the balance between keeping the things about rugby league that are a big part of the selling point, the physicality of it, but also player safety? Where do you go about drawing that line as to kind of maintaining both?
Yeah, and that is the ultimate difficulty with any law change is, will it actually make the game safer and remain a spectacle. Because whilst I can talk about player health being massively important, wanting people to play the sport and watch the sport is equally as important. So we try to navigate that by consulting with everybody, and we have the players' union involved, coaches, stakeholders at various different meetings. And obviously, some people don't agree with the direction of travel at times, and you have to negotiate your way through that. But I defy anybody that says they've not seen some really formidable hits in the last couple of weeks. I look at the Sue hit the Sue hit in the Hull derby. Or I look at Tariq Sims' hit on George Williams. I mean, they are ferocious hits that are legal by players who bent their back and whack players. And I mean, even if you look at Hele in round one, the first hit he has on Minchella is a phenomenal legal hit. It can be a brutal sport played legally, and that's what we need to encourage more of.
Yeah, Lewis talking to Robert Hicks. Right then, a lot's been said. We know Robert Hicks has met the captains, he's meeting the coaches. The RFL are basically trying to sort this out because, let's be honest, 2 or 3 of the decisions, probably New Browns especially, not being the best.
Yeah, it's hard for anyone involved in the game to see that as a send-off, isn't it, really? And I think that it's disappointing for those fans that travelled over instead of watching their young side go up against Sam Burgess Warrington and run the blood to water. They were left with 12 men with half a game. So and the way it came about, it's not what we'd normally accustom a red card to, but the rules the rules were set out in pre-season, explained to everybody,
and we know why rules have changed.
Yeah. Look, it's a head-on-head contact, but I think where the referees have come unstuck is they've only got a certain mandate that they've got to go off, and there's obviously a bit of grey area in amongst that, Rad. So there's plenty for it to iron out. We are still in round 2. There would have always been teething problems with this new sort of protocols or whatever you want to call it that they've had to adhere to. But hopefully it gets sorted sooner rather than later, because what we don't want, or what we do want rather, is we want all of our best players on the field playing the game in the right tough manner that's controlled.
But he's gone to speak to the players. That's the most important thing, I think.
It is. There's been a lot of players coming out on social media and venting their frustrations. And look, perhaps could have maybe done it a different way for me, but the message has got out there, and they've got a reaction, and they've got a seat there now, or an opportunity to speak to those that make these decisions. So hopefully with that, with the coaches involved and everybody else who makes these sort of adjustments to rules, that common ground can get there, and we can move forward and start talking about all the positive stuff that we've mentioned previously.
How do you see it, Chris, as Chief Exec of Wigan?
Yeah, look, I think
the game's had to evolve, didn't it?
Yeah, it had to do something. The safety of our players, is the most important thing. I think it will settle down. I think the grey areas, need to be ironed out. I think what frustrates most fans is inconsistencies and calls within games. So it's really important we overcome these teething problems. But I think with everything, it's the teams who adapt. It's the people who learn quick enough who will be successful. So there are opportunities in there. I encourage clubs to speak to Robert. He is a fantastic communicator, I have to say that, and he's been into our club, and players have asked him many questions, and he's handled it in a really great way. So, look, I think it will work itself out. And like you said, there's been too much noise, certainly in the first couple of rounds about these things. There's been some fantastic rugby league played, and that's what we should be talking about.
Well, let's turn our attention to celebrating our rugby league players. We've got a new feature here on The Last Tackle. Ryan Briley of Salford, he made his 100th Super League appearance on Sunday. And this is a story of his journey from Salford supporter to Salford star.
Playing one game of Super League was a dream come true for me, so to play as many as I have now, and the universe working in mad ways to bring me to Salford to achieve my best performances. I feel like it's kind of written in the stars a little bit. I never knew anything other than rugby league, and when they asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, it was be a rugby league player. I didn't know you had to be any good at it. I just thought you could just choose to be one. So yeah, when anyone asked me about plan A's and plan B's, it was just purely playing for Salford Red Devils. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Oh, Ryan, where do you want me to start from? I think he was about 18 months old, and he had we bought him a rugby ball, Salford rugby ball, a small one, and we knew then the way he was with the ball, the way he connected with the ball, and the way he just loved rugby. Obviously his dad played rugby for a team over in Little Hulton, badly, but he always followed his dad around with the rugby.
Obviously the first memories you see is obviously the Willows and seeing the pitch and how it smelt, and also walking into the shed as it was, obviously with my dad, and seeing obviously the rest of the family in there was obviously the highlight of my week, I think.
Well, he's been on a journey, that's for sure. So as a rugby player now, he's a product of his effort, resilience, determination and character.
And before you know it, you're in an academy and then you're in the first team. So I'll be honest, I never really had a realisation, and probably suffered with a lot of imposter syndrome up until quite recently. I reckon only the last 2 years playing for Salford have I really realised or believed I was a Super League player.
We'd looked at him for a couple of years before he came, to be fair, and wanted to bring him in a couple of years earlier than we actually got to him. And as soon as Rolls was involved, that escalated. Obviously they have a very long-standing relationship, so that escalated a fair bit. I mean, he actually went public, didn't he, probably about 12, 18 months before he actually came here, saying that he'd play for nothing for this club, so I wanted to test him on that. He doesn't, but he desperately, he made it really clear that he wanted to come here and play for the club.
It was obviously on our eye line anyway, because I think Marwan Kukash was looking to bring him in before that, so knew all about him, and I'd sort of like kept in contact with him over the years. And then when Paul said we should go for him, 100%, we went and met him, and we captured the Prince of Salford signature. And no matter what now, my dream was to play for Salford, and no matter what happens on and off the field, no one can take that away from me. I did it. I think I've got a picture back at home, you'd have seen it, but just a message to my dad saying, "Dad, I did it," and that was playing for Salford. It was nothing else. It wasn't about being a professional rugby league player. It was about playing for Salford. Whether your dream was to be a professional footballer or be a singer, be a movie star, or play for Salford Red Devils, my dream was to play for Salford, and that dream came true.
Yeah, really nice feature. That's on YouTube as well, with loads more content. Subscribe to the Sportsman. Rads, obviously you can identify with that, playing for your hometown club.
Yeah, it was amazing. I really like Ryan Brealey. He loves being a rugby league player. Yeah. He gets off the court at games with his toiletries bag under his arm, and he walks in like a professional footballer, but he just loves the game. He was outstanding last year. I think he's such an important weapon for Salford. Very intelligent, very fit, and actually super brave for a fullback as well. So, really nice feature. And these kind of players you want to see do well, because it means so much to them. So, yeah, he's a champion.
Talking about doing well, we've got another live game on the Sportsman for you. It's a week on Sunday. It's a Betfred Challenge Cup. It's Featherstone versus Wakefield. This will be a cracker. Live on the Sportsman, Featherstone versus Wakefield. Coverage starts at 2:45 on the 10th of March. Make sure you watch that one. Right, let's talk about the Betfred Super League. Friday night, St Helens versus Lee Leopards.
Yeah, I'll be at that one. Look, St Helens have, like we've mentioned before, they've hit the ground running. They're scoring some fantastic tries. Matt Whitley, of course, new signing, 4 tries inside of 2 games, so he'll be looking to keep making those improvements that he's been doing to the team. I think the other back row they've got there as well, Curtis Siren. I think they've actually got 2 genuine, threatening big back rowers there. Obviously, Matt Whitley's not the biggest by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly is a grafter there. Lee Leopards, of course, they played Huddersfield last game. It wasn't the greatest game, loads of errors, but a couple of question marks. Obviously, Edwin Apape, he's going to be out for 2 months now. They're going to miss Tom Amon through suspension, who plays massive minutes for them through that middle. And the question mark always was with Lee is how much can they keep churning out that same 13 week on week? Well, we're already seeing 2 of those pivotal players go. and it'll be a tough night, but it's a big game. It's another one of those big games in round 3 already.
The fixture has probably been kind for Sam Burgess for another home game. Something to build on.
Yeah, another home game again against Castleford Tigers. You would fancy Warrington for this, wouldn't you? If they are going to be that team that cracks the playoff, then they've got to win this and put a decent performance in as well. But, Castleford have been showing a bit of spirit, haven't they, in both of those 2 games. Obviously, Rad's got a good look at them before the World Club Challenge. So, there's still plenty for Castleford Tigers to get after there.
Friday night as well, the world champions versus Huddersfield with 5 badges on.
5 stars.
5 stars on the shirt.
Yeah, different challenge for us again. Obviously, Huddersfield had an outstanding opening round against Leigh, and then they got humbled at home last week against Saints. I think our boys, they drunk Wigan dry on Saturday night, and then they had to go to Manchester on Sunday. So
in order.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got to celebrate. Yeah. But they've been back into it the last few days, and I think it'll be a bit of a celebration for our fans as well. So. They'll turn up ready to play, and it'll be a tricky test for us.
Is Matty good at getting them focused again after having that elation?
Well, I mean, there's been some great examples in the past where emotionally you go on that journey and you can't quite take yourself there, in the weeks after. So we've got a different challenge to kind of overcome that in the coming weeks. Matt spoke a lot about it, particularly with his senior players as well, so it's something we'll work really hard on.
Look, Huddersfield will fancy this, Rad. They will, after the emotion that Rad's has just spoken about there of his players, it's a very, very difficult task for Wigan. Paul Wallen's referenced it last year. He asked his players to climb Mount Everest and get to the top, and you've got to climb it again. We saw that Saints didn't quite get it together after that, after achieving that. And that's where obviously the players and Matt Peet's got a massive job on their hands. But if you sat in a Huddersfield dressing room, this is a game that you fancy a scalp. Wigan at home after the World Club Challenge. If there was a good time to get him, it would be now. And I think that anyone who's listening to this would find it difficult to disagree with that, really. But there's a challenge there for both teams.
3 o'clock Saturday, Leeds, Catalans. I'm not sure where Leeds are at this season.
No, I can't.
In patches look quite good. Brody Croft, but
first half against Hull KR, I thought they were rolling down the field and they were looking like they were having a good day. And then obviously Hull KR just flipped it on its head in the second half. A lot of people thought they'd have blown Salford away, and it took them all the way to the last 10 minutes to actually get ahead in that game as well. And Brody Croft, the whole new spine of Frawley, Croft, Ackers, and Lockie Miller at the back there as well. That's exciting, but they've just got to put it together, haven't they, for 80 minutes really? And we'll just they'll get tested against Catalan. Rad spoke about their roster, the group that they've got is pretty impressive. So it'll be a good game that.
5:30 live on the BBC iPlayer and the Red Button, as well as Sky. Salford Red Devils versus Hull KR. I've been impressed with Hull KR so far this term.
Yeah. But I think this is a good game though. I think Salford will want to kick on from their win last week. Hull KR on the road, they've got an opportunity to start the season 3 from 3. Willie Peters will fancy this one, there's no doubt about it, but I think this will be quite close. I think probably only 4 points in this, with KR just getting it.
And finally on Sunday, Hull, which have had a dreadful start of the season, versus London Broncos.
Yeah, again, the people of Hull FC will be expecting a win in this game. London, bless them, they came up to Super League, probably weren't really ready for it as such, rode a wave in the playoffs last year and managed to do the unthinkable, coming from 5th and getting promotion. So the recruitment that they've been able to do has been very limited, and with the IMG, that's the structure that's in place, it's almost now impossible for them to stay up in Super League next season, isn't it? So lots for the London club to sort of contain and deal with, but I think for Hull FC, the people of Hull FC will be wanting the performance for sure.
Right, let's finish on a high. Let's finish by talking about the Betfred World Club Challenge once again. You commentating on it. How big achievement was that by Wigan?
Huge. Yeah, absolutely huge. It can't be undersold. Again, I'll reference what Jerome Luai said, that they came to play. They wanted it. They were hurting from last year. And just the way that if you're going to win a game, like, what a way to win it. Defensively being better than your opposition. I didn't think Penrith's attack was brilliant, mind. Do you know what I mean? But the way
Wigan's defence was good, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The way they defended was unbelievable. They got stretched and they got stripped on a couple of times, and You know, when you're sort of, you know, making that tackle in the corner, or Jay Field's tackle, you know, putting the winger into touch there, brilliant. And that's what, you know, I've no doubt that Matt Peet throughout times this year will remind his players of what that looks like throughout the course of the season, when they need that little bit of reminding that when you defend like that, you can be the best in the world.
What's that mean to Wigan Saturday night?
It meant everything, but I think it's what we do next now. You know, I think we have to capitalise. Some people might sit back and roll and kind of reflect and be happy, but you know, we don't do that. It's time that we roll our sleeves up, and great teams, you know, want to do it again and again. And I think I've got a challenge to convert all them people who attended, you know, all 24,000, to make sure they're coming every week. To make sure they're getting behind Matt and his brand of rugby, and hopefully try and create more occasions like that. So what it does, it makes you hungry for more, which is why we do it.
So we're running out of time. What did it mean to you personally?
It was a big night for me. You know, big night for my family. Obviously with Matt, getting a few question marks at the time, it was that justification that we got that one right.
You're going to write back to us, 50 now.
I told you so.
Right, gents, thanks for coming in and thanks for watching. Enjoy the action this weekend.